How's it going, everybody? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Thursday, February 29th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. This is the last day of February. 2024 is starting to fly by. And definitely with the Sun, Saturn, Mercury conjunction yesterday, we're starting to feel time in a very real way, in a very dense way. Today the moon's coming into Scorpio. So this moon is going to be activating a lot today between Venus and Mars, Mercury, the Sun, and Saturn. It'll be trining over while squaring over to Venus and Mars today. It's going to oppose Jupiter. So there's a lot of activity today, and I think there's a lot to think about as we move throughout today, and a lot of deep stuff that's coming up, So let's take a look at this shit. So yeah, this moon will oppose Jupiter while making this trine over to Mercury, and Mercury will sextile over to Jupiter. And it'll be exact right before the moon opposes Jupiter, but it's all happening at once, right? And then the Sun, also at 11 degrees, sextiling over to Jupiter. So it's like the Sun and Mercury's now moving faster beyond the Sun, and the Sun is catching up to, it's playing a little bit of catch up. So I think today is one of these days with this moon opposing Jupiter. I think we can kind of really reflect on how our beliefs are changing, and definitely our desires with this moon in Scorpio. We can really get into some very intense territory when it's connected to our relationships and our desires within relationships, and how we're growing and manifesting together as partnerships, creative partnerships, romantic partnerships, all of these things. And then the moon is going to square over to Venus and Mars later throughout, going into the night. Right? And then going into tomorrow. So, there can be some complex kind of issues coming up in our relationships. And definitely, our beliefs are changing so much. And today is a day where we're really feeling that in a deep way. In a very deep way. This moon in Scorpio is definitely highlighting how unconsciously we're shifting and changing. And now we can start to see how the pieces are coming together. This moon trining over to Mercury is really giving us this insight into our minds, kind of like this kind of opening into, these kind of more deeper, intense areas, and how psychologically we're changing. We've been going through such a rapid, fast transformation since all planets have been direct. And I definitely think a lot of issues connected to our relationships and our desires and our partnerships and trust. This can definitely bring up some trust issues, in the communities that we're connected to, but also trusting, our own spirit, our own soul. I definitely think yesterday with this Mercury, Sun, Saturn cazimi we had yesterday, that there's so many very important conversations that came up. I definitely felt it very deeply yesterday. And this moon trining over to that area, it'll trine over to Saturn right before it starts trining the Sun and Mercury and then opposing Jupiter. So there's definitely this very deep emotional kind of heartfelt energy that we're feeling today, that's connected to our spirituality and our creativity, and definitely where our desires have kind of been, left behind. I think we can kind of uncover some lost, you lost interest in something, or you kind of gave up on something. I feel like this could be a rejuvenation of some sort. Right? A whole new way of looking at something that may have burnt out in the past. I think there's definitely some new fuel and some new energy coming into this, to this day, after we had this very potent, heavy cazimi yesterday. And I think we're starting to really feel the depth of that on a very deep, emotional, gut core level, on a very plutonic level, with this moon in Scorpio. You know, the moon in Scorpio, I mean, it's intense. You know, it's at its detriment. You know, the moon is exalted in Taurus, so it's opposing over to Jupiter, where Jupiter's like, hey, like, I'd much rather be where the moon is at. I mean, Jupiter and Taurus is good too. We love Jupiter and Taurus. We love the fact that we are expanding our physical, material reality, and our beliefs are expanding in a much more material, practical way. But with this moon, it's like, how is that connected to our passion and our desire? And like, where do our desires need to be filled? And where do we need to expand our relationship with whatever partnerships that we have to, you know, fill some sort of missing link here? You know, and I think there is some really positive energy with the moon to the sun to Saturn and Mercury today, where it's like we can really start to feel and sense how we can move forward in filling these gaps that have been kind of left behind, or, you know, not wanting to really open up fully. With this moon in Scorpio, you know, it can be hard to open up. You know, it could be very clenched and inward, and, you know, I'm not going to say how I truly feel. I think today with this moon making great aspects to the sun, Saturn, and Mercury, while opposing Jupiter, we can really have an opening of communication. Like, the line of communication is really opening on an emotional, deep level today. You know, there's so much water energy today that is kind of moving through us. You know, the current is really flowing, you know, and with this moon in Scorpio, we don't want to get too fixed on the past, or, you know, where we've been hurt, or where things just haven't worked out the way we wanted it to. It's easy to get fixed in this, you know, moon in Scorpio squaring over to Mars, and it's going to square over to Venus too. Like, within our relationships, you know, it's like we want to ride this beautiful current with all this water energy, you know, and this earth energy that is also making great aspects to, you know, Jupiter and Taurus, making great aspects to the sun and Mercury and Saturn all together. You know, it's like we are expanding spiritually, you know, and our spirituality is expanding in a material, physical way, you know, and those are kind of the things that we're focusing on at this moment. And it's definitely connected to our relationships and the communities that we're involved in as well. But I think the challenge is where we want to connect with people and how we want to connect. Like, there can be some miscommunication, or not necessarily miscommunication, but just like, you know, trust issues in these connections with this moon in Scorpio squaring over to Mars and Venus in Aquarius. Like, there can be some kind of friction with this moon, you know. Like, it's going to go one of two ways, where it's like we just want to open up and pour out our emotions and pour out our hearts and express our deep feelings, you know, and communicate in a very beautiful spiritual way. But it can also go the other way, where it's like we just want to clench up and not open up and not say how we feel and just remain fixed and try to control the situation when it doesn't need to be controlled. When the sun, Saturn, Mercury yesterday is teaching us and telling us, like, hey, like, we have to let go and know in our minds that we can trust the divine and trust the higher forces that govern our physical world. So this is a very beautiful energy here, and especially coming off of you know, this very potent conjunction yesterday. I mean, we're really understanding our spirituality on a deeper level, I feel like, and really, you know, things that have been unresolved in the past too. That's what I've been feeling the past couple days. It's just unresolved healing, also connected to the North Node Chiron as well. But I feel like we're being able to communicate in a very positive way to really see things clearly and see things where things have gone wrong, right? And where we felt hurt and didn't want to open up, and we just held things in and let all this time pass, right? I definitely had conversations personally yesterday where there was a massive opening of certain things in life that have been kind of just, the door has been shut for over a year, right? With friendships and business stuff, and it's like, wow, like, things are really opening up at the same time. As all these dynamics are happening. There's a lot of dynamics happening all at once. There's a lot of different notes being played. Like, this is a very unique sound. If you relate this to a sound or a chord or an orchestra playing, this is a very unique song playing here. This is a song we've never heard be played before. So we had this moon in Scorpio, we had 3 planets in Aquarius, 4 planets in Pisces, 2 major planets in Taurus. Like, there's a lot of density happening in the physical world and in the higher realms here. We're expanding our physical realm. We're manifesting a whole new material reality with Jupiter and Taurus here. And with this sextile from Jupiter to the Sun and Mercury today, we're starting to really, express our spiritual desires and our beliefs, our spiritual beliefs in a very positive way, and being able to connect with other people and also utilize the lessons that we're learning to expand our spirituality in a much more material, practical way. This isn't some off the charts kind of weird ideology, this is very much like getting to the core of like your inner being, of your core beliefs, of just the values of being human. That's what this feels like to me. And I definitely felt that the past couple of days. It's like, wow, we're crossing over massive humps when it comes to healing on a spiritual level. I'm definitely feeling that big time. And it's a blessing. These are big blessings coming in here. I think some big blessings can come in today. And I think it's all built up from the full moon to the Gazimi yesterday. And now with this moon making this opposition to Jupiter while sextiling the Sun and Mercury. I mean, there could be some big blessings coming in today. That's all I can say. That's just what I feel. I'm experiencing it very deeply. It's a very emotional thing in a good way. These are like good tears, right? This is a good cry to have. This is a good, deep, heartfelt conversation and deep opening to be had. And it's well needed. It's been a long time coming. And I think this is going to really help us get over some massive humps to keep manifesting our future in a very powerful way, with all planets direct and getting towards this Sun Jupiter Uranus conjunction, my bad. Because that's going to be the last major conjunction that we're having in these first few months of 2024 with all planets direct. So, and I definitely think the conversations that are coming up today and the blessings that are coming through, and the support, I feel like there's a lot of support coming here spiritually in a divine way. You really got to pay attention to the synchronicities that are coming through, just in your day-to-day life, the signs, and I don't just mean, these angel numbers, right? Oh my God, it's 111. Like, sure, maybe that means something to you, but there's more to it than just some made-up numbers on a clock that somebody made up. They don't really mean much to me. I'm sorry. I know it's controversial because I know it's a very big thing, but the synchronicities are in your life that are sending you deep spiritual messages with this Mercury in Pisces and the sextile to Jupiter and the Gazimi. It's much bigger than these freaking numbers, right? You see that all over the fucking internet. It's easy to just get focused and stuck on these ideas of synchronicities or whatever you call it. Like, it's much broader than that, It's the experience you're having day to day walking down the sidewalk and, or through other people, especially with this moon opposing Jupiter today. Like, we're definitely going to see that coming up in, personal experiences and definitely where space and energy is shared. Scorpio is all about sharing resources and sharing energy and, that trust and that bond between others, right? So that's where we're going to really experience the big blessings coming through, is the bond that we have with one another. And those bonds that are unbreakable, even if there's been, the door's been shut on certain things. there's been massive openings the past couple days. And I know we're all feeling that in a beautiful way. So we got the Knight of Swords today. So it's like we're cutting through all the bullshit. We're plowing through all the BS and, not just getting stuck in just hopeless, or weightless, meaningless nonsense. This is when we just get straight to the core and cut straight to the chase, right? And that's what the moon in Scorpio does. It just gets straight to the fucking point emotionally, even if it's painful, right? And, but I think there is like a softening as well with this Pisces energy, like there's this dynamic with this Knight of Swords and the moon today. When I look at it all together, it's like there is this very intense cutting through the nonsense, and where we've been stuck and where we've just held ourselves back. We've held back relationships. We've held back the opportunity for openings within our relationships. I think this is the moment where it's like we're cutting through and we're moving past and growing up and being more mature about, just holding on to whatever kinds of crap that really didn't mean much in the long run. Like we're thinking much more long term now, and the experiences that we've shared with people in the past where doors have been shut, it's like we're really starting to feel the power and the weight of how important these relationships are in our lives, and if things have been shut and closed, like I really hope that we're all willing to let our guard down and be vulnerable and admit where we've been wrong, where we've made mistakes, right? And really support each other on wherever our journeys go. This is a moment where, people are ready to take on new things in life and take on new courses and take on new projects, take on new relationships. All planets are direct. And I think with all this powerful, potent energy, with these conjunction points, like take the risk, be vulnerable. Don't be stuck. It's easy to get stuck with this moon in Scorpio, especially squaring over to Mars and Venus in Aquarius. Mars and Venus in Aquarius is cool. It's interesting. It's weird. It's unique, but it can be very detached too. But with all these Pisces planets, it's like we want to attach, we want to merge, we want to become one, right? So there is a little strange dichotomy of energy at this moment too. So I think just flowing and going with the flow and paying attention to the signs that our reality is reflecting back to us is the most important place we can be right now, because that's where we're going to receive what we need to receive. Because once we get into Aries season, we get into these eclipses, our lives are going to change big time. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.